Latest data from the Bank of Ghana's Summary of Macroeconomic and Financial Data for September 2021 shows that the value of Ghana's total exports increased to about $9.8 billion in August 2021 from the about $9.6 billion recorded during the same time in 2020. The report also shows an increase in total imports from about $8.2 billion in August 2020 to about $8.9 billion for the same period in 2021. The data from the central bank also showed that Ghana recorded a balance of trade of about $874 billion as at the end of August 2021. With the exception of gold, oil and other exports have improved greatly in terms of earnings. Cocoa, as at the end of August this year, brought in about $2.1 billion, while oil exports brought in $2.4 billion. In an interview with City Business News, economist with Data Bank Courage Boti notes that the trend recorded across board can be attributed to the opening up of the global economy, which has impacted on demand for some commodities.
Economies are reopening, and then demand for these things are picking up. This year, for instance, cocoa prices have been quite low, but the volumes we've produced and exported are higher. And then that is accounting for, you heard Cocoa Board say at some point that we'll cross the 1 million metric ton mark for this crop season, and we are yet to even end the season. So those higher volumes, and of course, crude oil prices are now around $80 per barrel, even though we are not producing as much and investment into the sector hasn't been that great. I mean, the higher prices have compensated for the lower volumes. And that is how come we are seeing export receipts rise higher over the first 8 months of the year compared to the first 8 months of last year. But with export growing also, our economy itself is also opening up. And then you would realize that our import bills are also growing. I mean, when the borders were locked, when lockdown happened and businesses are not operating to full capacity, you realize that our import bills were quite low. But now that the economy is opening up, oil demand is growing, non-oil imports are also growing. So you realize also that the import bill is also growing. And I believe that is what is accounting for the lower balance of trade surplus, even though our export volumes have grown.
As of August 2021, the value of gold hovered around $3.4 billion. This was a drop from the $4.3 billion recorded same time last year. Courage Boti throws more light on the aforementioned trend.
A lot of dynamics in there. On one hand, gold is still a safe haven demand asset at this point in time. But we also know that the trends we are seeing in the US, UK, and most of the other established markets where inflation seems to be picking up, and there is that increasing likelihood of a tapering on the asset purchase programs in those markets, means that interest rates are just about to rise. I mean, and that is the expectation for most investors. And what they will do naturally is to switch from the conservative assets now into taking more risk. And so you realize that even from our market here, most of the foreign investors are moving out into US bonds, treasury bills, and stuff like that in anticipation for the higher rates that are coming. In such instances, you won't see a lot of demand for gold. And then you would also not see the price performing like stronger as they were. So yes, gold demand may still be there, but prices are not as strong because the safe haven appeal for it is being tampered with by the sentiment on the market about the expected rise in interest rates based on the inflation dynamics and growth dynamics on the external market.